That's an insane take. Okay, hold on. I'll give a quick thing on this, and then I don't want to talk about it because it is so uncomfortable stepping into the delusional red pill reality where for some reason, especially because so many of you guys know it, you just won't accept the fact that there's a lot of deadbeat loser dads that knock a woman up, leave her life, never pay a dime in child support, never see their kid a single time in their lives. That's a fact. That's most deadbeat dads. This weird red pill delusion, this emotionalized position where, oh no, like all of these deadbeat dads, they desperately want to see their kids. They really want to be involved in their lives. They're just the moms keeping them out. You guys are losers. You're actually out of your mind. I don't know how you got hoodwinked, especially by black red pillars in black communities where deadbeat dads are an epidemic, are some of the worst things happen in kids' lives. You guys have deluded yourselves into this world where it's like, oh my God, all these horrible mothers hoarding their kids, trying to keep their poor innocent father. You guys are just delusional. So like even spending time arguing here feels like more retarded than any progressive trans talking point I've ever had to argue with. It is the most retarded thing in the world. Sorry, absolutely true. If a woman has a kid and the father and the mom are not formally married, in the eyes of the state has no idea if there's even a relationship that exists there. The state doesn't know if you're dating a woman. You don't go down to a courthouse and say, by the way, Your Honor, that's my girlfriend, okay? I know this. They might not even put your name on the birth certificate if you're not married as the father. Sometimes they won't even do that at the hospital. Probably varies by state, probably varies by hospital. But they might not even put your name on the birth certificate, or your last name on the birth certificate for the child if you're not there and if the mother doesn't allow it and blah, blah, blah. If you have a child out of wedlock, then it seems natural that the child would go 100% to the mom in terms of custody because the state has no idea what the father's involvement is with the child's life, which is fine. Now, if the mom and dad want to share custody of the kid or whatever, that's fine too. If they're dating, if they've got a good relationship, everything's fine, then they'll just do that. It'll be natural. Like, boom, it'll happen, right? I don't think me and Rachel we might have worked out a formal custody agreement for really complicated health insurance reasons for our cancer stuff. But like, otherwise, like we don't fight about custody in court, right? Which, by the way, 90% of couples don't fight about custody in court. It is rare that you go to court to fight about custody. 91% of relationships don't even go to court to figure out their custody arrangements. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with assuming that the mother has default custody of the child because in the state's eyes, they have no idea what the mother-father relationship is like. So it makes sense that, you give it to the mother is sharing it with the father, that's fine. If they're dating or whatever, then that works. Yeah, but in terms of like, oh, well then why is the father entitled to pay child support? Because you knocked up the mom and now it's your financial responsibility. You can abdicate social responsibility of the child. You cannot abdicate financial responsibility for the child. But if you and the mother are on good terms, it's not like she's going to sue you for child support while you guys are like living with each other, raising your kid. Yeah. Destiny, so the mom gets 100% custody and authority, but the man is 50% responsible financially. LOL. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because I know a lot of you are virgins or a lot of you are you have lots of chromosomes, okay? If your mom and dad have you as a kid, if you go to the hospital, you have the kid, dad's name is on the birth certificate, you go home, the mom is not going to be filing a child support order where you guys are living together. That's not going to happen. So the parents would probably have shared or joint custody. Makes sense. And the man's not paying child support with the kid that he's living with. You guys are in like some delusional woman-hating land where you think that women are like crawling out of their childbirthing beds over to the courthouse to try to get a child support order. It's 12 hours out of the womb while the dad is in the hospital watching their kid. The reality is that most of these dads that are gone are deadbeat loser dads that never want to see their kids, never end up paying a dime of child support. Less than 50% of women even get the full child support that they're owed, okay? Miss me with that deadbeat dad shit. Miss me with that, oh no, like all of these dads wanted to be involved in the kid's life. They all wanted to pay child support. They all wanted to do everything, but the moms wouldn't let them. It's such a delusional take. I can't believe that you guys but I mean, most of you guys eat these delusional takes and these red pillars that are complete, that's why in the next breath, I guess you say shit like, oh, women like to be cheated on. They actually enjoy the competition. Like, holy shit. The most likely thing is the father wasn't on the birth certificate. Sure, probably. I think generally, if you're at the hospital, I could be wrong, but I think this is how it was in my case. If you're at the hospital, they'll usually just put you on the birth certificate with their dad, even if you're not married. That's how it worked with me. Even though technically Rachel didn't want me on the birth certificate, but they did it anyway because I wanted to watch my kid get born, which is kind of funny. But that's why Nathan is my last name, even though you probably shouldn't. But it sounded like you were talking about all dads in general at first, deadbeat or not. It sounded like you were saying if you're unmarried, it should still be 100% of the mother's custody, regardless of the status of the dad. Legally, yeah, but who has the custody won't matter if you're both living together and you're both raising the child. It's like not a very relevant. Destiny, you've lost a lot of people with that awful take. Good, bye, leave. I don't care. If you like the crazy world that you guys live in, where women are these like child support hunting demons, you'll realize in 5 or 10 years that I'm right, and it's time to move on from this weird caricature you have of the modern Western woman that's just trying to like guys steal child support and get alimony. It's a delusional take that has zero foundation in reality whatsoever. I think actually I'm probably going to spend, because now I've started to dig into some of the divorce shit, and I feel like every single thing that red pillers say on divorce is also wrong. But I'm probably going to take a day off stream before the red pill debate on Sosnick's show, I think on the 2nd, and I'm probably going to compile everything on that. But like a lot, but it's funny too, because like I shouldn't even have to appeal to, this is one of those cases where I shouldn't even have to appeal to data. I should actually just be able to say like, well guys, let's just look in the real world at what happens, which is a dumb argument, but you guys usually do that. This idea that all these dads just desperately want to be involved in their kids' lives, but the moms are just keeping them out, is such a wildly take. Like, you've never met a single mom before, you've never seen any of these broke communities before, you've never and again, especially because some of these people come from black communities. Like, how many of these moms are like, oh yeah, like I'm so glad that his baby daddy ran out and now I don't get child support and I never wanted his dad to be involved. Like, it's such a wild take to me. It's such a wild, stupid take. Oh, hey, what's up, buddy?
Oh, hey, I was just listening to your discussion about dads being deadbeats.
Gotcha.
And
what's up?
Kids' life. It's okay. You can keep the same energy. I think when you're spazzing out, it's good. So you can
Thanks. I like screaming about things.
Okay, I do feel like you were strawmanning the thing. I don't think anybody here is saying, or maybe I'm unaware. I don't think people are saying all the men who are not in their children's lives are as a result of the women or the mother not being there. But
that is the default red pill position. If you want to take a different position, that's fine. But the default position that these people argue is that women are maliciously getting sole custody for the express intent of hiding kids from their fathers so that they can collect child support. Have you ever seen the movie Liar Liar?
Okay, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's true. And if you can link me or you can prove that that's the red pill position, then I'll acquiesce. I've just never heard that. I've heard them talk about.
I'll try to ask on the next show that I go. But like, for instance, the last time that this isn't directly related, but the last time Melina was on that show with MLD, I think him and Adam agree that the main reason men aren't getting married is because they're scared of getting in divorce or something. Like just a wild statement.
Yeah, that's a stupid statement. I would say that a lot of men are worried about the upsides or the downsides, but I don't think that's the main reason or the only reason that men are not.
I don't think it's a major contributing reason to more than 5% of relationships. In fact, maybe 1% of a guy being like, I really want to get married to this woman, I love her, but I'm scared about getting in divorce.
Sure, I would agree.
Brian said this 500 times last night too. Yeah, I would have to go find a specific quote. I don't know if I've asked them a specific question, but I'm pretty sure that they'll say that, yeah, the main reason, they would say this is what I imagine, like Myron and most red people say, the main reason, or Pearl, the main reason why fathers don't see their kids after a breakup is because women are keeping the kids from the fathers so that they can collect child support. That is the main reason, or 50% of cases, why it's happening. That would be my guess. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, good for me, but the way they talk about it, that's how it feels they're saying it constantly.
Okay, so maybe that's not what I'm hearing. I think just the fact that women do have control of the situation. Maybe some people are alleging that it's just for the financial benefits, but that's not been what I've heard when people have concerns about this. And it's not been all I've heard when I've heard red pillers speak about it. They've spoken at length about the fact that when women are in control, they can be tyrannical in regards to how they control stuff because they are the one who has sole custody generally, and so they have a lot more say in how things go down. And this is going to be completely anecdotal. I have no numbers to back this up. But in my own personal life, heard enough situations where fathers want to be involved in the children's lives and the mothers make it very difficult, or because they have complete control over the situation, oftentimes they let their relationship with the father supersede what's in the best interest of the child. And that can actually go both ways. You know, the issue at hand with this is that you have two people who contributed to a child existing, and they have a lot of tensions between each other. Why? Because they're no longer together. There's probably a variety of reasons why they're not. And they're not able to always put the child first. And so what ends up happening is that relationship is strained. And because the mother has sole custody, it's just a lot easier for the father to be cut out of the life of the kid. And that maliciousness that can exist between the couple can go beyond just, oh, you're talking shit to the child. It can even go to the point where like you can deny the father on a lot of legal grounds. And so that is something that I hear red pillars decry. That is something I know to be true in real life in a lot of situations. And so, yeah,
Sure, and that's great, but I can't argue against her stories. The reality is what I would put money on is the vast majority of times where like over 70% of where a man is being completely excluded from his child life, it's because he's a dog shit person. That would be my take. Over 70-75% of the time. I'm sure there are cases, these one-offs, where women are being like malicious with a child or trying to control it, blah, 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 blah. But my guess is that the fathers, more often than not, are dog shit human beings or terrible parents. That'd be my guess. They either do bad shit with the kid, they don't bring the kid back on time, they're picking them up at inappropriate times and doing things with them that the moms agree they're not supposed to, and they're not winning court orders because even a judge looks at it and says, no, this guy's not a responsible caretaker. Again, I agree with you. I'm sure there are stories where it happens and it's sad when it does, but I don't think we can make the mistake of taking those single stories and blowing that out to the entire population. I disagree with that. But
okay, so
like I said,
no, hold on. Where are you getting your data for the fact that they're late when they bring their kids back? They're late or they're irresponsible.
Every time I've seen like a study, I'm just about to tell you. Do you want me to answer, or do you want to keep rambling about the anecdotes you have? You can do that if you want.
Well, give me the data.
Okay, on every single study I've ever seen published, which to be fair is like 2 or 3, it seems to be the case that when men fight for custody for their children, they're awarded sole or joint custody over 50% of the time. I think 70% was the big one from the Massachusetts paper that I read. I've never in my life seen data showing that fathers fight for custody and lose consistently. I've only ever seen that written on legal websites from people that sell divorce services to men. I've never seen that in a study anywhere.
Sorry, repeat that last part where they fight for custody.
If a man chooses to fight for custody for their child, it seems like in the majority of those cases, they win sole or joint custody. That seems to be the case. I've never, ever seen... I've heard a lot of sad stories from Pearl and everybody else, but I've never seen it published anywhere otherwise.
Okay, but just to be clear, the whole part about them being late or them being deadbeats or whatever, like, you have no proof to back that up, right? There's no... Like, just to be clear.
Well, I mean, like the proof would be in the court orders. Technically, you would need the proof. If the father is not able to win custody at all, then it means that a judge has said you don't get custody because you don't deserve it. Now you're telling me that I guess all those judges are biased. So technically, the onus, the burden of proof there is on you. It would be like me saying, look, this guy lost like 10 civil cases in a row for petty theft or whatever. Now, and then you're saying, oh, well, I don't think he stole anything, and then it's telling me to prove it. I mean, like the courts are siding with me right now. Now you're saying, and a lot of red pill people say that the courts are unfair, whatever, which is fine, but you have to substantiate that now at that point.
Okay, and do you think earlier you said something along the lines of if they're unmarried, because the courts have no way of guaranteeing who, like the father's involvement in the relationship or whatever, that the woman should get sole custody, right? What is your justification for that beyond just...
Yeah, on paper, if you're not married to a woman and she has a child, in the state's eyes, there is no person present. I don't even know how you would begin to make a person present. So it seems like the default sole custody of the child would go to the woman. That seems okay for me. I don't know why you would default give it to both parents when the state has no idea if the father is involved in that relationship or not. If you want to have a kid, you should probably get married. That's probably one of the benefits of marriage there, is proving that you're married to the woman who's having a kid and you both get custody.
Well, but in a situation where two parents are not married, okay, and you're trying to assess who's more fit to be the parent or who's meant to have custody, why is it that it should default to the woman? What
because the woman is absolutely having the kid. She's there and having the kid. You'd have no guarantee that the father's there. The woman is definitely there.
But it's not just about having the kid. It's about being the responsible parent who has the best aptitudes to be able to raise a child. Why is it the default position that a female is better?
It's not that the female is better. It's just that the female is there and has the kid. The state has no idea if the man is present for that child. Whereas the woman definitely is. The woman can still lose custody. I mean, child protective services and everything can take custody from a woman, but
generally the courts don't like doing that for a variety of reasons. But my question to you is, you're saying, well, we don't know the father's there, but if we're saying that the father is there and does want to have the custody of the child, why is the default position, like, if he's present?
If he's present, well, wait, if the father's present and they're at the hospital, he doesn't able to go on the birth certificate. They probably do just have joint custody then.
Is that the automatic default position?
That's my understanding of it. That's what I remember the hospital, but it's 12 years. So, but I'm pretty sure as long as you're there in the room, they'll put your name on the birth certificate. Then I think you automatically have joint custody.
Okay.
That's by default, assuming the father's there. But otherwise, I'm just saying that, like, let's say the woman is a child. Like, who would the state, like, in the eyes of the state, how would they even know who to give the other custody to, right? Unless the mom just states a name, I guess. But then she could theoretically just put anybody's name. There's one of the reasons why getting married before having kids is probably good from a paperwork standpoint.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'd probably look up the numbers and then we could have this conversation at full length at a different time. I This whole idea that most of the men who are not involved in these children's lives are all deadbeats.
I didn't say all, but I said, oh, you said most. Yeah, I do think it's most. Do you think it's not most?
Either. Uh, I don't know, to be honest with you. I
Okay.
don't know. I wouldn't fight the charge. I'm not going to say it's not true because I don't know the actual numbers. I've just heard so many stories of the opposite in my own personal life that I just don't necessarily believe that. And
Wait,
I
so
don't-
most of the stories you hear of parents with no access to their fathers, most of those stories are the fathers desperately want to be involved, but the mothers are finding ways to keep them out of it?
if they're not keeping them out of it, the way that they go about the relationship is incredibly controlling or divisive. Yeah.
Okay, when you say that word, that doesn't mean, when you say controlling, the mother should be controlling. It's their child, right? I would imagine that it's going to be controlling. But
Hold on. When you
Yeah.
say they should be controlling, what does that mean? If that's also my child and the mother dictates what kind of clothes my kid wears, what kind of haircuts they get, what kind of relationship they're gonna have with my grandparents or whatever it is, no, that's not actually a relationship that I would want to foster. Yes, you should have some control, but it shouldn't be something that feels tyrannical. If it's my child and the woman I'm dealing with across from me is being unreasonable and incredibly aggressive all the time about every decision in relation to my child, yeah, that's probably not a relationship that I
sure,
want to.
I agree with that. Unreasonable and uncontrollably aggressive, I agree. But when you just say like controlling, like, I mean, the mom has to have the kid back at a certain point, especially if the father's only getting the kid on weekends or something. It would make sense that the mother is quite controlling, of course.
Obviously, when I say controlling, I'm not talking about some reasonable thing where everyone keeps to their actual agreements. When I say controlling, I'm even that has a negative connotation. We both agree, no? When someone's controlling, we don't mean like, oh, they like to assert their boundaries. When you say someone's controlling, we're basically trying to say that they're exerting a certain level of dominance that's outside of what's normally permissible or correct. We agree?
Yeah, I guess, but I feel like I could hear that statement from somebody saying like, "Oh, the mom is so controlling," when it's a guy that's just like being around, like he's not taking his kid back on time, or he's doing things with the kid outside of like what the mother would ideally want for the kid to be done. But we're just on like anecdote grounds.
Yeah. I think that now we're getting to the weeds of it. I
Sure.
don't want to do that. I think this is an interesting conversation. I'm not mad at you for pushing back. And if what you're saying is true about the narratives that red pillars are speaking about, yeah, I'm not. Because I know plenty of deadbeats also who exist in society who don't want to be involved in their children's lives, just want to foster kids. We cover those people on social media. They want to then responsibilities come around and they bail. But the opposite side of that is very true. And I don't know if the numbers reflect that. I don't know if the numbers reflect dudes who are actually fighting to be in their kids' lives and are being cut out of them. I don't know if they do.
Well, the numbers reflect that like over 90% of people don't even go to court to fight for a custody arrangement. Like, because people always say like mothers get custody like some huge percentage of the time. Over 90% of deals aren't even fought about in court. So most people don't even bother fighting. Now, I think the lead attorney is going to come in later and he's going to say like, oh, well, men don't fight because they think they're going to lose or whatever, which there's no way for either of us to prove that number. But the vast majority of the time, people settle this outside of court. It's pretty rare that you're even fighting in front of a judge over custody agreements. So like,
Absolutely. And I know plenty of people who do handle this outside of the court, but they do have the sentiment that you just described from lead attorney, which is like, how am I even going to win this? And also the idea of like hiring a lawyer and how incredibly expensive it is. Not people have the socioeconomic background to even go through that kind of fight, legally speaking. So you already have a court system that favors women in this regards for valid reasons, whatever. But if you're telling fathers, well, if you want, you can just take it to court and fight it. It's like not everyone has the aptitudes or the financial backing to be able to even do that. You recognize
sure,
that, right?
that's fine.
And
Okay, that's
for the black men who are
fine.
meant
That's
to be-
fine. But the exact same people are then going to say that every single woman suddenly has massive aptitude when it comes to hiring a lawyer for divorce court. It doesn't make sense. It can't be that every woman is a fucking genius with access to unlimited funds to hire divorce lawyers, but dads can't hire a $2,000 attorney to fight for their kids. I don't know what the actual retainer would be, but
the divorce stuff is so dumb because most of the people that we're talking about when it comes to child custody issues are poor people. So neither side of them are going to be able to hire lawyers to do this stuff. So when red pillars go on and on about, are you going to get in divorce courts? Like, no, most people who get divorces don't lose money or don't lose a bunch of shit. That's just rich people issues or like higher upper middle class.
Yeah,
when
I
we're
agree.
talking about average person, that's not an issue. But when you're saying, well, they can just fight in court and get custody of their kids, like, no, most poor people would never even consider really going to court like that and getting the finances together because that sounds exhausting, expensive, and also a losing battle. That is a fact. The idea that these people are going to just fight for custody and get it winning, I don't know. To me, I just don't believe that to be true. But again, I don't have the numbers in front of me, so I think I'm arguing uselessly right now. So I'll look into it and we can have that discussion. But I am curious to hear what the lead attorney has to say. I don't think you are, though.
well, I already know everything he's going to say, but I mean, I'll listen. I'll hear him out. But he should. I think he's coming in a few minutes. But
Okay.
we can write down his points. It's going to be that men don't fight because they're scared. That courts are really biased in favor of moms. It'll be those 2 points. It'll be men don't have the financial resources to fight for custody, and a lot of moms use kids as like pawns for their or whatever. It's going to be these. I mean, he's a guy that literally represents men in like these types of battles. So of course, all of his clients are going to be people that follow these types of stories.
True, and I also think your own personal experience has been fairly positive. It sounds like whatever.
Yeah, but I'm not arguing from my personal experience. I'm just arguing from. Technically, my personal experience is negative because I get dinged for even when I. Wait,
Sorry.
I'm trying to think of what I can say legally or not. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is way in the past, so any statute of limitations is past. Even when I had joint custody of Nathan, I'm pretty sure on paper I had no custody because the way that Rachel's health insurance had to work for her cancer medication, we had to do some wild contrived shit. Otherwise, she'd die from lymphoma. But like, I'm pretty sure on paper, technically, I got quote unquote because I think she had 100% legal custody of Nathan, even when I was seeing him Monday through Friday or whatever from school, just because the health insurance shit was wild. But yeah, those cancer medications were like $2,000 a pill.
So wait, let me ask. So if she technically had full custody throughout the whole time, you guys didn't go through the legal process. Hypothetical, but let's say she changes her mind, says she doesn't want to involve you. That do you think it'd be okay for you to not be allowed to be involved in the child's life because she says, well, he was never involved, technically speaking? Do you think that would be an acceptable outcome in this situation?
No, I would go to court and I would fight it.
Okay. Fair.
I appreciate that, Destiny.
All right, bye. Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.